You're listening to Burning Brightly, episode 28, Some Tough Love. This is Burning Brightly, a podcast for Christian moms who are feeling called to build a business and share their light with the world. I'm Bonnie Wiscombe, a life coach, mom, and entrepreneur, and I'm honored to be your guide as you face this business building adventure, full of highs, lows, and everything in between. This is where we help each other find the courage to shine. Hello, my friends. Today's episode is going to be a little tiny bit of a kick in the pants for all of us who struggle to get moving, especially when we feel stuck regarding something in our business. Now, admittedly, this isn't usually my struggle. My struggle is usually with thinking it all before I just dive in and take action. I love that action line. I really want to get started, and very often I don't plan well enough ahead of time because I want to just start moving. But I think all of us struggle with hesitation and avoidance sometimes when things feel particularly hard. If you want to know if you're struggling with this, then ask yourself, do you feel fear, overwhelm, or insecurity about any aspect of your business? Because where there are fear, overwhelm, and insecurity, there will also be hesitation, procrastination, and avoidance. Think about the last time you procrastinated something. It was probably because you felt overwhelmed, or you were a little bit afraid of something, or you're a little bit insecure, or you just didn't want to. So first, we need to define what it is you are avoiding or procrastinating. It might be something very specific that you have in mind that you've been thinking about forever, but you just haven't taken that plunge to get started. It could be getting a degree or a specific sort of training or certificate to help you move forward on this business you want to build. It could be just telling people what your business is about or what you want it to be about. I struggled with this for a long time with my first business. I was so nervous to tell people. I just thought everyone's going to make fun of me or tell me it's a bad idea or say something that's going to make me feel something negative, right? So I didn't even want to say it out loud. Could it be building a website or some other sort of technological problem? Side note, if you haven't yet built a website for your business, you're going to want to attend my free training that's coming up on October 4th. It is called Online Business Made Easy. We're going to get a very simple web page up and running for your business in 1 hour. You're not going to want to miss it. It's totally free. So the link will be in the show notes for that. So there's my little free training plug if you are struggling with building a website. But likely you know what this challenging thing is, something that you've been putting off for a while. Once you have identified what it is that's keeping you stuck, we have to figure out why. Your brain is so brilliant. It wants to avoid pain and discomfort, and it does so by pushing back at things that it knows is going to bring pain and discomfort. So you are likely telling yourself a story about this thing that is keeping you from moving forward. So let's identify the story. A few stories that I've heard that are very common and that I love to still entertain myself as I'm building a business are, I'm not good at technology. Does that sound familiar? I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm scared of failing. I don't want people to judge me, or what if this isn't the right thing or the right path? Do any of those sound familiar to you? They all sound familiar to me. There has been a time in my business journey where I have felt or thought one or multiple of these, sometimes all of them at the same time. They're so common. Or if it's a different story, identify what that story is that you're holding on to. I'm going to give it to you straight, you guys. You are probably bad at technology. If you're thinking that story, it's likely true. That's okay. You probably also don't know what you're doing. And you will probably experience failure. You will also probably have people judge you. And it's likely that you're not on the right path yet and that you will pivot at some point. But so what? What does any of this mean? Nothing. It just means there's something you haven't learned yet. There's something you need to progress through. There's something you need to push forward through. None of it is a deal breaker. All of it is normal. Now, you could be moving forward and experiencing all of these things, or you could stay stuck exactly where you are right now and in a year have nothing to show for your pain because there's discomfort on either side of the line. There's discomfort right now in procrastinating and trying to do anything but that thing that you know you should be doing. And there's discomfort moving through it as well, to learn the technology, to figure out the path, to tell people about things and get judged by them. That's life. So you guys might laugh at me, but I find a lot of wisdom in a lot of kids' cartoons that my children watch. And the one I want to refer to today is in Kung Fu Panda. Love those movies. There is a turtle who is very wise, and his name is Master Oogway. And he has this line that we quote all the time in my family. And he says, "One often meets his destiny on the road he takes to avoid it." There's some cartoon irony for you. And I think that is so true in life in general. We think that by procrastinating this next project or this next big step, that we will save ourselves pain and suffering. But what kind of pain and suffering is involved by staying stuck? There is plenty there too. You get to choose what discomfort. Maybe we shouldn't call it pain and suffering because that's really bad. But there will be discomfort on either side. Which discomfort would you rather have? The one of staying here or the one of pushing through and seeing success on the other side? So now we've defined exactly what it is that you are avoiding or procrastinating. So now ask yourself, what is it that you're trying to escape? Whatever you're escaping is probably a negative emotion. What if you knew you were going to feel those emotions anyway? Just a different flavor of them right here. But then you wouldn't have the benefits of the business to counteract that negativity. What would you think about that? In other words, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for things to get easier before you push through? Because it probably won't. It will probably only get harder. Now, you may be telling yourself, well, I have a very real thing that I'm waiting for before I move forward. Maybe you're looking for better childcare, or you want to wait until your baby is in kindergarten, or you want to wait until you get a better computer so it's not such a pain in the butt. Okay, I get that. There are some very real reasons that might be worth pushing off this project for a little bit. So now let's talk about how it feels to be in the middle of building a business. When you get started, likely you will feel lots of enthusiasm and excitement. So if you've already started building your business, you probably know what I'm talking about, right? That excitement of telling people and of, finishing that training or whatever it is, diving into this thing that you've been thinking about for a long time. It's thrilling. And then you get stuck on something and you feel less excited and less thrilled. Maybe you feel overwhelmed, or maybe there's even some boredom there and you think, gosh, I don't want to do anything right now, especially not that next step. You become a master of avoidance and procrastination, right? Doing all the things except for that thing that you're supposed to be working on. And this is totally normal. You guys, I like to look at life in general, but especially building business, as a roller coaster. There's highs and there's lows. There's exhilarating thrills and bursts of speed. And there is the part where you're just sitting there at the beginning waiting for everyone to buckle up. It's kind of boring. So there's a book called The Dip by Seth Godin, and he talks about the valleys of this business building adventure. He talks about how it's frustrating, it's boring, and it attacks almost every single project. At some point, becomes a little bit boring. None of them are exciting all the way through. That's just not how life works. And he says this in the book: extraordinary benefits accrue to the tiny minority of people who are able to push just a tiny bit longer than most. So that's what I want for us, you guys. I want us to be the people who accrue the extraordinary benefits because we're the tiny minority that push past those struggles. What if you knew that your first client or customer was just on the other side of this task? Or what if whatever you define as success was right around the corner from this thing, but you're just sitting here waiting for something to change, waiting for something to get easier before you push through? Why are you dreading that step so much when so much greatness is on the other side? I can definitely guarantee you this. Your definition of success is not on this side of the task. It's not going to come from doing everything in your power other than that project that you're putting off. We humans are so good at putting things off. Think about college or high school when you had your last academic big project that you had to do and you put it off till the last possible second. We're so good at just finding anything to do except for that thing. And the anxiety over that project only grows as the deadline gets closer because you haven't done anything. And you haven't even, very often I hadn't even cracked the book to see what the assignment was. I just kept putting it off. Then once I looked at it, very often I thought, gosh, this was not that big of a deal. If I had started a month ago, I would have been long done and I wouldn't be worried about it anymore. But instead, I've made things harder and harder on myself because of all this anxiety leading up to it. So just facing it, just at least taking a look at the project or whatever it is you need to build and determining the next step can be enough to give your brain some peace and quiet and say, oh, this isn't that big of a deal. I can push through this. Okay, so I want to wrap up with a little challenge for you guys. I love doing this. So if you're driving, don't do it, obviously. But when you get home, I want you to identify that next logical step in your business, the one that you probably already know about because you're probably purposely avoiding it, okay? And write it down on a piece of paper. Once you have that step written down, then write down all the thoughts you're thinking about it. Give yourself several minutes to do this. The fears, the concerns, the worries, whatever comes up for you, write that down as well. Everything that goes through your mind when you think about this project. Then ask yourself and write down, what is the worst that could happen? This is actually kind of fun. I kind of like doomsday scenarios. Well, everyone could laugh at me. I could lose a bunch of money. I could get on a stage and fall over. I don't know, all the worst things that could happen. And then I want you to ask yourself, what's the best thing that could happen? And write that down. And that's even more fun, going to best case scenario. Well, I could have a 6-figure launch. I could make my new best friend. I could, whatever it is, fulfill all my wildest fantasies. Write those down as well. Now, likely the reality of pushing through this next project and step will be somewhere in between. In my experience, the worst never actually happens. And the negative stuff feels bad, but only for a really brief moment. I can't even really remember any of the really big, scary, negative things that I've done in my business because it just lasts such a short period of time. And in my experience, the good stuff ends up being way more amazing than I could have imagined. Seriously. Especially I've noticed as I come more and more in alignment with what God is calling me to do, as I take steps closer and closer to what I feel like is my true purpose in my business, things get even more and more incredible. And just the feeling as I work on my business every single day is amazing. I love it. So as a recap, identify the next logical step in your business, write down the thoughts you're thinking about it, ask yourself what's the worst thing that could happen, and then ask yourself what's the best thing that could happen, and then get started. Final question for you guys. Have you prayed about this part of your business yet? God just might have some insight for you is my guess. Sometimes when I feel stuck and in that little dip of uncertainty or frustration in my business, I just pray and ask for confirmation that I'm headed in the right direction. Sometimes all I need, and even though I've had it before and I've felt like, yes, this is the right thing to do, sometimes I just need a little extra boost. And so I will just ask God, can you just confirm to me that I'm doing the thing that you want me to do? And you'll feel this amazing, inspiring boost to keep you going and give you the courage to move forward. Remember, one step, even if it's in the wrong direction, is worth probably a month or more of wondering if you're going in the right direction. The action trumps so much. So let's get started. Thanks so much for listening, friends. We will talk to you next Thursday. Are you ready to get started on your dream business? Join Finding Your Side Hustle, my digital course that will guide you through discovering what it is you love and how to turn it into a family-friendly business. Are you ready for one-on-one support as a mom or entrepreneur? Schedule a free coaching call with me to work on the goals you have for your life, including business success, weight loss, or better relationships. I can't wait to help you make progress on your dreams.